Okay, I've been waiting to record this. Podcast episode for quite a while now since I first heard the news that Guam was being considered as a staging area, processing area for Afghan refugees following the end of the war in Afghanistan on September 11th, 2021, ending 20 years of war. And if you haven't been following the news and you kind of just don't really pay attention, the U.S. started pulling all their troops out, and the president of Afghanistan fled, caused chaos within the capital, Kabul, Afghanistan, and people were just freaking out. They actually airlifted people out of the U.S. embassy, and people were also flooding the airports trying to get onto evacuation flights to get the hell out of Dodge. And within a few hours of all that happening, Kabul was completely taken over by the Taliban, which rendered the country of Afghanistan under Taliban rule. And a lot of updates were happening within the last 4 to 5 hours. I've been trying to keep track, and more updates are going to just keep coming consistently over the next few days, I can imagine. But the things that I've so far have come across is that the Taliban has announced amnesty across all Afghanistan, urging women to join the government. They see all their people as assets to the country, and they will be operating their government within the frameworks of Islamic law. And yeah, now that it's been 20 years since the start of the war in Afghanistan, they're now presenting themselves on a world stage in a completely different media landscape, a fully digital media landscape, and I believe they recognize this. So whether what they're saying now is kind of a front, or it is what they're really saying, is to be seen, right? So just in that subject alone, you can go hours possibly and on a podcast and just keep talking about it. But just for this podcast episode in particular, I just want to focus on the evacuation of Afghan refugees and getting them to the United States and what happens and what that involves. It's already been reported that 3 bases are currently being prepared to be set up for Afghan refugees. Just to tie the two things together, right? The announcement in April, May of it being considered, and now that the U.S. government didn't realize that the Afghan government was going to fall so quickly to the Taliban, that now they're moving at supersonic speeds. So now the decision has already probably been made without us even trying to get a word in how we get to benefit off of it. So things are going to move fairly quickly, and I'm sure upper levels in our local government and high-ranking officials within the Department of Defense are in communication. And so it's all questions right now in which no real answers can be made. There are 2 past instances. People have been coming to Guam to find asylum, but 2 past instances following the Vietnam War, there was Operation New Life, and I can do a whole different podcast episode if you'd like to hear that. There's documents that I can go over how much money was predicted to be spent, how much money was actually spent. That lasted about 8 months, and Guam saw a total of about 130,000 evacuated Vietnamese refugees. And the second instance was the Kurdish conflict. I don't think it's a Kurdish conflict. It had to do with the Kurdish people, and this was Operation Pacific Haven, which sent 7,000 Kurdish people here to Guam to be processed and sent to the United States. In which, of course, both during the Vietnam War and the conflict that involved the Kurdish, there were people that did stay here on Guam. Now, 2021, what happens to Guam now? What are some of the economic benefits, right? Who's going to benefit off of it? What private companies are going to get involved? Who's going to need to be there to support this large effort that's going to happen within days? There's going to be a need for supplies. There's going to be a need for food, clothes, money. So Afghan refugees are going to be looking to trade things that they brought with them for money to survive in the United States, right? So just a lot of things to think about right now. What kind of interactions with the local community is going to happen now that we're in COVID times, right? What now? How do we handle it? Right? So just a lot of things that we need to be hyper aware of and just sort of keep our eye on and be ready, brace ourselves, because who knows, you can even yourself take advantage of an economic opportunity. It's there. It could be there, but we shall see. What do you think? Let me know. Comment on any of the social media platforms. DM me, send me messages, and let's talk about it. Until next time. Peace.